Ember of hope, the sky fractured like broken glass as the vessel tore through Earth's atmosphere, leaving a trail of violet flames against the twilight horizon. Dr. Nova Chen watched from the window of her Arctic research station, counting the seconds until impact. 3, 2, 1. The distant mountains flashed with unnatural light. "Did you see that?" she asked, turning to find her colleague Alex already pulling on his thermal gear. "Probably another satellite," Alex replied, tossing her a heavy jacket. "But protocol says we check it out, especially this close to the facility." Nova nodded, sliding her arms into the jacket. 6 years after the Celestial War, anything from space was considered a potential threat. The conflict had left humanity isolated, paranoid, still nursing wounds that might never heal. The snowmobile journey took 40 minutes across the barren white landscape. What they found wasn't a satellite at all, but a small craft unlike any human designs leak. Organic curves with a metallic surface that seemed to pulse with fading energy. "We should call this in," Alex said, reaching for his cum unit. "Wait," Nova whispered, pointing to a trail of iridescent fluid leading away from the wreckage. Someone survived. They followed the glimmering trail over a ridge and down into a small ravine. There, huddled against a rock face, was a figure. As Nova approached, she could make out distinctly non-human features, smooth purple skin that seemed to shimmer even in the dim Arctic light, delicate facial structure with high cheekbones and large, almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner silver light, and astrally, one of the mysterious species that had remained neutral during the war, yet suffered greatly when their homeworld was caught in the crossfire. "Please," the alien whispered in perfect, accented English, her voice melodic yet strained. "Don't hurt me. I'll do anything you ask." Nova knelt beside the wounded creature, noting the tear in her iridescent bodysuit where a deep gash exposed more of that purple skin. Despite years of xenobiology training, Nova had never been this close to an Australi before. Few humans had. "I'm Dr. Nova Chen," she said softly. "I'm going to help you know," Alex interjected sharply. "Protocol is clear. Any extraterrestrial contact must be reported immediately." The Australi's silver eyes widened with fear. "If you alert your authorities, they will dissect me," she whispered, one hand reaching tentatively toward Nova. "I know your world's history with my kind. She's injured," Alex Nova said firmly. "And she's right." "You know what they'll do to her?" Alex hesitated, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air. "This is a massive risk. Nova, I'll serve only you," the alien said, addressing Nova directly now. "My name is Kyra. One possessed knowledge that could benefit your research." Please, Nova made her decision, ignoring years of training and protocol. "We'll take her back to the secondary lab," she told Alex. "Off the main grid if this goes wrong," Alex warned. "It's both our careers." Maybe worse, as they carefully helped Kyra to the snowmobile. Nova caught the alien, studying her face with those luminous silver eyes. "Why would you help me?" Kyra asked softly. Nova secured a thermal blanket around the alien's shoulders, noticing how Kyra's skin seemed to radiate a subtle warmth despite the sub-zero temperatures. "Because," Nova replied, "some things matter more than rules," as they sped back toward the research station with their secret passenger. Nova couldn't shake the feeling that her life had irreversibly changed course, like a ship caught in the gravity of an unknown star, pulling her towards something both beautiful and potentially destructive. Astra's fractured trust. The secondary lab hummed with the soft beep of medical equipment as Nova carefully cleaned the wound on Kyra's side. The alien's anatomy was remarkably humanoid, yet subtly different. Her blood shimmered with bioluminescent properties, and her skin seemed to change temperature with her emotions. "Your physiology is fascinating," Nova murmured. "Applying a synthetic skin graft to the gash?" "This is yours," Kyra replied, watching Nova's hands work with curious silver eyes. So fragile, yet so determined, Alex paced behind them, occasionally glancing at the security monitors. "We need to decide what happens next," he said tensely. "We can't keep an alien hidden forever in an international research station we don't need forever," Nova replied. "Just long enough to understand why she's here." Kyra winced as Nova sealed the wound. "My ship was damaged while passing through your solar system," she explained. "I was forced to make an emergency landing convenient," Alex muttered, leaning against the lab counter. Just happened to crash near one of Earth's most advanced research facilities. Nova shot him a warning glance. Kyra tilted her head in acknowledgement. Your suspicion is warranted, she said. My people, the Astrali, are known for our telepathic abilities. Some humans fear we can control minds. Alex straightened immediately. Can you? No, Kyra replied. We can sense emotions, sometimes glimpse surface thoughts. But control? That is a myth. That night, after settling Kyra in the lab's small recovery room, Nova and Alex argued in hushed tones in the adjoining office. She's hiding something, Alex insisted. Why would an Astrali be this close to Earth? Their system is light years away. The war scattered many species, Nova countered. She could be a refugee, a scientist, anything, or a spy, Alex said. The Nexus Coalition would pay handsomely for Earth's defense protocols. Nova rubbed her temples. Next, fatigue settling into her bones. Give me 3 days, she pleaded. If she's a threat, we'll report her, Alex reluctantly agreed. But his trust was clearly strained. Over the next 2 days, Nova spent hours with Kyra, ostensibly monitoring her recovery but increasingly fascinated by their conversations. The Astrali spoke of worlds Nova had only read about, describing colors beyond human perception and concepts that barely translated to English. Your species values individuality, Kyra observed on the second evening, sitting cross-legged on the recovery bed. Mine cherishes connection? Is that why you left your people? Nova asked the question that had been burning in her mind. Kyra's eyes dimmed slightly. I did not leave by choice. Before she could elaborate, the lab door slid open, and Alex burst in, face taut with anger. You need to see this, he said, thrusting a tablet at Nova. On the screen was a security recording of the previous night. It showed Kyra, alone in the recovery room, her eyes glowing intensely as she sat in meditative posture. She's broadcasting, Alex hissed. I detected unusual electromagnetic pulses from this room at exactly this timestamp. Nova turned to Kyra, who had risen to her feet, her purple skin now slightly paler. Is this true? I was attempting to heal faster, Kyra said softly. My species can enter a healing trance, liar, Alex snapped. Those energy signatures matched known Australi communication patterns. Nova felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Had she been foolish to trust so quickly? Who were you contacting, Kyra? The alien stepped forward, her silver eyes meeting Nova's directly. Not who you fear, she said. But I have not been entirely truthful with you. I'm calling security, Alex said. Reaching for his cum unit. Wait, Kyra implored, her voice taking on a musical quality that seemed to vibrate in Nova's chest. What I have to tell you affects the safety of both our peoples, Alex hesitated, finger hovering over the cum button. You have one chance, Nova said, her scientific curiosity wrestling with a sense of betrayal. Tell us exactly why you're here, Kyra. S eyes glowed brighter. And for a moment, Nova felt a whisper of emotion that wasn't her own fear. Determination, and something else? Something warmer directed specifically at her. I am here, Kyra said quietly, because I am the last of my kind who knows the truth about the Celestial War, and why it was only the beginning. Frozen hearts thaw outside. A blizzard raged across the Arctic landscape, isolating the research station more completely than any security protocol could manage. Inside, the atmosphere was equally turbulent as Kyra revealed her truth. The Celestial War was engineered, she said, her purple fingers tracing patterns on the table between them. My people were not merely neutral observers. We were archivists, recording the diplomatic communications between all parties, Alex scoffed. Convenient position during a galactic conflict. It was our sacred duty, Kyra continued, silver eyes flashing. And it's how we discovered the manipulation. The messages that provoked Earth were altered before delivery. Nova leaned forward. By whom? The Harbingers, Kyra whispered. A species so ancient, they exist partially outside normal space. They feed on conflict energy. This sounds like a convenient fairy tale, Alex said, crossing his arms. Kyra fixed her luminous gaze on him. Is it? Your scientists never explained why the quantum radiation from battle zones defied known physics, did they? Nova saw Alex's expression flicker. It was truth Anomalous energy signatures from major conflict sites had been classified but never explained. When my people presented evidence of manipulation, Kyra continued, our world was targeted. I escaped with the archived communications, but my ship was damaged in pursuit, and the transmission we detected. Nova asked. A verification sequence. The data is hidden within my genetic code, encoded into my cellular structure. It requires regular stabilization. Alex shook his head. This is absurd. A power fluctuation interrupted them, the lights dimming momentarily as the storm outside intensified. Station 2, all personnel, came a voice over the intercom. Storm conditions have exceeded safety parameters. All outdoor systems are shutting down. Emergency protocols in effect for the next 48 hours. Perfect timing, Alex muttered. Nova stood. We're isolated until the storm passes. We might as well hear her out. She turned to Kyra. Show us this evidence. The next 12 hours blurred together as Kyra connected herself to the lab systems through a neural interface. Nova watched in fascination as data streams projected across the screens, diplomatic transmissions, military orders, and communication logs, all showing subtle but critical alterations that had escalated minor disagreements into full-scale conflict. Even Alex grew quiet as the evidence mounted. When they finally took a break, Nova found Kyra alone in the observation lounge. Watching the snow swirl against the reinforced windows, the alien's purple skin seemed to capture and reflect the cold blue light in a way that was mesmerizing. Do you believe me now? Kyra asked without turning. Nova moved beside her. I'm starting to, but you still have questions, many, Nova admitted. Including why you said you would serve only me when we found you. Kyra turned, her face now inches from Nova's. Because I sensed something in you. Something rare. What? Openness. The capacity to see beyond your programming. Kyra raised a hand, hesitating before gently touching Nova's cheek. My people bond through emotional resonance. From the moment you found me, I felt yours. Nova should have stepped back, maintained professional distance. Instead, she found herself leaning into the touch, a warmth spreading through her that had nothing to do with the station's heating system. This is inadvisable, Kyra whispered, though she didn't withdraw her hand. Many scientific breakthroughs begin that way, Nova replied, surprised by her own boldness. The kiss that followed was unlike anything Nova had experienced, not just physically, but emotionally. As their lips met, she felt a fluttering at the edges of her consciousness, like curtains being gently drawn aside, allowing her to sense Kyra's emotions, wonder, desire, fear, hope, all flowing between them in a current of connection. When they separated, Kyra's eyes were glowing more intensely than Nova had yet seen. That was Nova began. A beginning Kyra finished. In the doorway, unseen by either of them, Alex stood watching, his expression unreadable. He quietly retreated, conflict evident in every line of his body. Later that evening, as Nova pored over Kira's data in the main lab, Alex approached, setting a cup of coffee beside her. I've been thinking, he said quietly. Maybe she's telling the truth? Nova looked up in surprise. What changed your mind? Alex shrugged, gazing through the window to where Kyra sat meditating in the recovery room. Sometimes you have to question your assumptions, he said. Even the ones that feel like protection, Nova smiled slightly. That sounds almost like something she would say. Don't push it, Alex replied. But there was the ghost of a smile on his face. We still have a bigger problem. If her story is true, Earth needs to know. And if we tell them, Nova said soberly, they might dissect her before listening to the warning. Hunters in the dark morning came with eerie silence, the blizzard finally spent. Nova woke to find Kyra already up, her purple skin almost luminescent in the pale Arctic sunlight streaming through the lab windows. The storm has passed, Kyra said softly. But I sense another approaching. Before Nova could ask what she meant, the station's alarm system blared to life. Red warning lights pulsing along the corridors. Alex burst into the lab, his face tight with tension. Military transport, he said breathlessly. 3 kilometers out and closing fast. How? Nova demanded, rushing to check the security feeds. No one knows about. I had to report it, came a voice from the doorway. Dr. Isabel Wong, station's director, stood with arms crossed, expression severe. Protocol 7 Alpha. Nova. Unauthorized extraterrestrial contact must be reported within 72 hours, Isabel Nova began. You don't understand what's at stake here. I understand you violated international security protocols, Isabel replied sharply. Commander Cooper will be here in 10 minutes to take the alien into military custody. Alex stepped forward. Director Wong, we've discovered evidence that could change our understanding of the war. Isabel's eyes narrowed. Evidence provided by the alien? How convenient, please, Kyra said, her musical voice cutting through the tension. I mean, your people no harm. That's not for me to decide, Isabel said, though something in her expression softened slightly. The transport will dock at the north entrance. I suggest you prepare yourself. When Isabel left, Nova turned to Kyra in desperation. We need to get you out of here. There's no time, Alex said, checking the monitors. They've landed. Kyra touched Nova's arm gently. Perhaps this is the path that must be walked, she said. Your military leaders need to hear my warning. You don't understand our military, Nova whispered, covering Kyra's hand with her own. Especially not Commander Sarah Cooper. The north entrance hissed open minutes later, admitting a squad of 6 soldiers in Arctic combat gear, led by a tall woman with ice-blue eyes and a face seemingly carved from stone. Commander Cooper. Isabel greeted formally. Oh, where's the specimen? Cooper asked, her voice clipped. Nova flinched at the word, but Kyra stepped forward with dignity. I am Kyra of the Australi, she said, and I am no specimen. Cooper's eyes flicked over the alien, betraying nothing. Secure it, she ordered her soldiers. Commander Nova interjected. Kyra has critical information about the true cause of the Celestial War, Dr. Chen. Cooper replied coldly. You've already violated multiple security protocols. Don't compound your errors by interfering with military operations. 2 soldiers moved toward Kyra, restraints ready. Please, Nova tried again. Just review her evidence before? That's enough, Cooper snapped. Dr. Chen, you're relieved of duty pending investigation. Dr. Wong will oversee the transfer of your research. As the soldiers reached for Kyra, something shifted in the air, a subtle vibration that made Nova's skin prickle. Kyra's silver eyes began to glow with increasing intensity. I apologize for what must happen now, Kyra said softly, looking directly at Nova. Then chaos erupted. The lights throughout the station flickered and died. In the sudden darkness, Nova felt, rather than saw, a surge of energy emanating from Kyra. The soldiers' weapons flew from their hands, clattering against the walls. Commander Cooper reached for her sidearm, but froze mid-motion, her body suddenly rigid. When the emergency lights activated seconds later, Nova gasped. Everyone except herself, Alex, and Kyra stood immobilized, as if caught in invisible amber. What did you do? Alex whispered. Temporal stasis, Kyra explained, her voice strained. A defensive ability my kind rarely employ. It will not last long. Nova stared at the frozen figures. You said mind control was a myth. This is not control, Kyra said. Merely a pause. Their thoughts and will remain their own. She turned to Nova, her silver eyes dimming slightly. I did not wish to deceive you, but some abilities must remain hidden until necessary. We need to move, Alex urged, already gathering data drives. They'll have backup protocols if communication is lost. Nova hesitated, torn between duty and something deeper she'd developed for Kyra. Where would we even go? My ship, Kyra said. The damage is repairable with your help. The evidence is not just in me, but in its systems as well, Nova. Alex said quietly. I've reviewed her data. If she's right about the Harbingers, Earth is still in danger. A muscle twitched in Commander Cooper's frozen face. The stasis was already weakening. This is treason, Nova whispered. No, Kyra replied, reaching for her hand. This is survival. For both our peoples, their eyes met, and in that moment, Nova felt again that strange connection, emotions that weren't hers flowing into her consciousness. Not manipulation, but sharing. She saw flashes of Kyra's memories, her world burning, her desperate flight, and through it all, a sense of purpose so powerful it transcended personal safety. We have 3 minutes at most, Alex warned. Already at the door, Nova made her decision, squeezing Kyra's hand. Then let's not waste them as they fled through the service corridors toward the vehicle bay. Nova caught a final glimpse of the command center through a window. The stasis was breaking, Commander Cooper's face contorted with rage as mobility returned to her limbs. "She hunt us to the ends of the earth," Nova said. As they commandeered a snow crawler, Kira's expression was solemn as she gazed at the horizon. "Then, perhaps," she said softly, "we must go beyond." Beyond the stars, the crashed Astrali vessel looked different in daylight, its organic curves half buried in snow. The whole material shifting between metallic and crystalline as sunlight struck different angles. Nova watched as Kyra placed her palms against the ship's surface, the purple of her skin seeming to resonate with the vessel. "It recognizes me," Kyra murmured. A seam appeared in the previously smooth surface, widening into an entrance. "How long before Cooper tracks us here?" Alex asked, scanning the horizon nervously. "Not long," Nova replied, checking the portable radar unit she'd grabbed during their escape. "Maybe an hour inside." The ship was a marvel of bioengineering. Controls that seemed more grown than built, surfaces that responded to Kyra's touch with pulses of light. Nova watched in fascination as Kyra moved through the space with practiced grace, awakening systems that had gone dormant. "The damage is focused in the quantum drive," Kyra explained, leading them to a chamber where a crystalline structure pulsed with erratic energy. "With your help, I can redirect power and initiate repairs." They worked frantically, Nova and Alex following Kyra's instructions to integrate Earth technology with the alien systems. As they worked, Nova found herself repeatedly distracted by the fluidity of Kyra's movements. The determination in her silver eyes, the way her purple skin seemed to glow from within when she concentrated. "The Harbingers will come for Earth next," Kyra said as they connected the final circuits. "They've already begun seeding discord among your nations again, the renewed tensions with the lunar colonies." "The communication disruptions last month," precisely, Kyra confirmed. "The pattern repeats," the ship hummed to life around them, lights pulsing in harmony with what seemed to be its heartbeat. "Nova," Alex said suddenly, looking at the radar. "We've got incoming." Multiple signatures through the ship's viewing portal. They could see a fleet of military vehicles approaching across the snow, Commander Cooper undoubtedly leading the charge. "How much longer?" Nova asked urgently. "Minutes," Kyra replied, her hands dancing across the controls. "But even repaired, I cannot outrun military spacecraft if they scramble them." Alex looked between them, then at the approaching vehicles. Something seemed to resolve in his expression. "I'll buy you time," he said firmly. "Alex, no," Nova protested. "I can delay them," he insisted. "Create confusion about which way you went. Give you the window you need to break atmosphere, they'll court-martial you," Nova said. Alex smiled slightly. "Probably. But I've reviewed all the evidence now." He nodded toward Kyra. "She's telling the truth. Someone needs to start preparing Earth from the inside." Before Nova could argue further, he pressed something into her hand, a data crystal containing copies of everything they'd learned. "The truth needs multiple messengers," he said. Kyra stepped forward, touching Alex's forehead gently. "Your mind has changed greatly since we met, yeah?" Well, he replied somewhat awkwardly. First impressions aren't always right. The moment was interrupted by the radar's urgent beeping. The military vehicles had split up, beginning to surround the crash site. "Go," Alex said, already moving toward the exit. "I'll tell them you went north." After a brief, fierce hug, he was gone, disappearing into the snowy landscape. Alone with Kyra, Nova felt the weight of the choice before her. "If I go with you, you may never return to Earth," Kyra finished softly. "I would not ask this of you." "You're not asking," Nova replied. "I'm choosing outside." They heard the distant sound of vengeance, of voices calling commands. "Your world needs warning," Kyra said. "The Harbingers must be exposed, and they will be," Nova assured her. "Alex will make sure of it. But you need someone who understands Earth science to help present your evidence to the galactic community." Kyra's silver eyes searched Nova's face. "Is that the only reason you would come with me?" Nova stepped closer, her heart racing with fear and something else, something brighter. "No," she admitted. "There's also this." She kissed Kyra again, and this time the connection between them flowed both ways, Nova feeling Kyra's emotions as Kyra surely felt hers. Wonder, desire, apprehension, and hope intertwined between them. "I've never felt this with anyone of my own species," Nova whispered when they parted. "Nor I," Kyra replied. "Perhaps that is why the Harbingers fear connection between different peoples. It makes us stronger, not weaker." The ship's systems chimed urgently around them as the military vehicles converged on their position. "It's time to choose," Kyra said. Nova took one last look at the Arctic landscape through the viewing portal, the only Earth she had ever known. Then she turned to the control interface where Kyra waited. "I choose us," she said. And the truth, as Commander Cooper's forces surrounded the vessel, it began to glow with increasing intensity. The soldiers raised their weapons, but before they could fire, the ship lifted from the snow in a blinding flash of light, climbing rapidly toward the stars. Inside, Nova watched her world shrink beneath them, both grief and exhilaration flooding through her. She felt Kyra's fingers intertwine with hers as the ship accelerated. "Where will we go?" she asked. "First, to the remaining Astrali enclaves," Kyra replied. "Then, to the Galactic Council. With your testimony alongside our evidence, they cannot ignore the threat as Earth's atmosphere fell away and the blackness of space enveloped them." Nova felt a strange peace settle over her. She was venturing into the unknown, leaving everything familiar behind, yet somehow, with her hand in Kyra's, she felt like she was finally finding her way home. "Nova Chen of Earth," Kyra said softly, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. "You saved me when you could have feared me. Now we may save countless others together." The ship's jump drive engaged, stars stretching into lines of light around them as they accelerated beyond conventional physics. Earth disappeared from view, but Nova carried it with her in memory, in purpose, and in the hope that one day she would return to a world finally free from manipulation, ready to join a larger community among the stars. Together, Nova echoed as they leaped into the unknown.